Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm making Lenten apple cake. Lenten means fasting for Lent, and Lent is a 6 weeks period leading up to Easter. Orthodox Lent is very strict, and these are the things that are not allowed: meats, fish, dairy, eggs, alcohol, and fast food. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy a nice pastry without eggs, milk, or butter, and it's gonna come out really tasty. You just have to try it, and it's gonna have apples in it. So let's get started. First, we're gonna make our apple filling because we need to allow it to cool. Therefore, I have 5 apples, and they're just beautiful opal apples. To the apple filling, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of tapioca, or you could use corn starch, 50 grams of sugar, and a dash of cinnamon. Using the large grate on your cheese grater, grate your apples. And if your apples are as beautiful as mine, don't peel them. But if they have little brown spots on them, or the peel is very hard, then just go ahead and peel them and then grate them. You can adjust the amount of sugar depending on how sweet or sour your apples are. My apples are pretty sweet, so I'm just adding 50 grams of sugar, and I'm also gonna add a dash of cinnamon. I'm just gonna mix it together, and we're gonna start cooking our filling. The key here is just to cook down your apples when the sugar is all dissolved and the apples are slightly cooked and all the liquid from the apples have evaporated. This way your filling is gonna stay put in your pastry, and when all the liquid has evaporated, we're gonna add our tapioca flour. You can add cornstarch, and this will absorb extra moisture in your filling and also thicken up. Transfer your apple filling in the bowl and let it cool completely. I'm just gonna set this bowl in the fridge. For our Lenten pastry dough, you're gonna need 350 grams of plain flour, 125 milliliters of water that has been boiled and cooled, 100 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla powder, and 50 milliliters of vegetable oil. Before making our dough, we need to dissolve in water our salt, sugar, vanilla. We're gonna mix it all together, make sure it's all dissolved, and then we're gonna add vegetable oil. And I'm using avocado oil, but you're free to use whatever oil you like. To 350 grams of flour, which is approximately 3 cups, we're gonna add our baking powder, mix it together, and then we need to take some flour out because it's always easier to add and then subtract. In a large mixing bowl, add your wet ingredients, and then we're gonna add our flour. And just remember that we took a couple tablespoons out because we're gonna look for a right consistency of this dough. Right now it looks kind of runny, so I'm gonna add those 2 tablespoons of flour I took out back to it, and it looks perfect now. So you will need 350 grams of flour. The flour is different everywhere, so just look for the dough to be soft but not runny. And we're gonna form it into a ball, and we're gonna cover it with Serrano wrap and let it rest for just maybe 20 minutes. Then we're gonna divide this dough in half, and we're gonna start working with 1 half first. So we need to lightly dust a table surface or a silicone mat with just a little bit of flour, and we're going to try to roll this dough into rectangular shape because I'm making a rectangular cake, but you can make a round cake if you want. But I've decided to cut it into squares later, so I'm just gonna make it as squarish as possible. And this little dough scraper usually helps to maintain that rectangular shape. Then you need to transfer your dough onto lined baking sheet. and as you can see, as I transferred it, it kind of just lost its shape. So I'm just gonna fix it again. I want it to look as perfect as I can, you know, presentation is everything. And then we're gonna start laying out our apple filling. And as you can see, our apple filling has cooled down, and look how beautiful it looks. It doesn't look brownish, it kind of looks very yellow, I guess because of the skin on the those apples, the opal apples. So we're just gonna spread it around with leaving just 1/2 inch from the sides so we can cover it with another piece of dough. And when you lay another piece of dough on top of it, we just need to go all the way around and kind of pinch those 2 pieces of dough together so they don't come apart when they baked. So just kind of just press it down and make sure they all adhere to each other. Then what you need to do is you need to puncture your cake so the steam from the apples can escape, and then you can either use the fork to make tiny holes in it or a toothpick, or you're not gonna find this tool anywhere. I got it as a gift from Uzbekistan from a friend of mine. It's for making Uzbek bread, but I thought it would be perfect to puncture the holes in the cake. Bake your cake at 355 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes. It has to be just slightly browned. And here it is, our beautiful Lenten apple cake is ready. No eggs, no dairy, no butter. And it is absolutely delicious. We're just gonna cut into it, and you can cut it into squares. You can make squares as smaller as you want or larger, but look at the design on the cake. I'm so glad I found this tool because that makes the cake looking absolutely beautiful. Let this cake cool a little bit, and then you can enjoy it with your friends. You can enjoy it with your tea, coffee, or just by itself. And I have to tell you the secret that Lenten pastry stays soft for much longer time. Maybe because it doesn't contain any fat, any eggs, or any dairy. But I've made this cake and it stayed soft for almost a week, just sitting on the counter. Then you can dust it with powdered sugar, a little bit of cinnamon sugar, and enjoy it. Whether you're fasting or not, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.